everyone. Welcome back to the It's Bet podcast with your host, AP. Today's episode is a bit of a wild card. You wouldn't expect me to post this early, but I have good reason for it. Today is my birthday. So today I turned the big 2-3, and I thought I would surprise everyone, all my listeners, with a wild card podcast. Something that you didn't expect, a podcast before Sunday. Now, there is also going to be a podcast coming out on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. And also, you might notice, AP, I can see you. Yes, this podcast is also going to be put onto YouTube as well, where you can see my face. And yeah, it is also going to be posted to all my other listening platforms, such as Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. So you'll be able to listen there too and see the episode because I'm recording right through Anchor. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is, first, I wanted to give a big thank you to all my listeners that show great support, who write me messages saying that they enjoy my podcast, they love listening to it. Thank you. It means a lot to me, and I'm hoping I could share this moment with you, because the real reason I wanted to make this podcast was to really shed my light on some of my stories that I have, my life stories, and stuff that is tough and that I overcame, and I've become a better person. But I also wanted to be able to connect with everyone, because, you know, if you're feeling a certain way, or you know, you're not the only one. So I really wanted to keep that community aspect as well. And you better expect that you're going to be seeing guests on this podcast soon, because now we got video cameras. We got one right here that I'm looking at, and also one here that we're looking at. So you're definitely going to enjoy, and you're going to be seeing the video platform a lot more often. And also my wonderful flags that we have in the background too as well. So I wanted to come back today. Today's podcast is off the cusp. I'm not going to lie. I'm doing this off the top of my noggin today. I don't have a script. And I wanted to keep it that way because, you know, it's a wild card podcast. You're not expecting to be laid out. So let's go into discussing today's title. Why don't we? Can we just get to the point? Sheesh, Alan, you've been talking in circles. So today's title of the podcast is going to be Powerful Beyond Measure X Birthday Podcast. That's what it's going to be. So Powerful Beyond Measure. And this quote has really resonated with me. This is an original quote by Marianne Williamson, and the long quote is expanded like this: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." And wow, doesn't that send you shivers down your spine? That's crazy. When I hear that quote, it's just, not only one does it really shows you how confident as a human being, how powerful of a human being you can, what you can achieve in this finite amount of life that we have. But I also think it's super important to adapt it into your life. Because if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling, inadequate, the fear is not that you're inadequate. You're powerful beyond measure. And you can do awesome things like start a podcast, go into your craft. So this quote has been resonating with me every single day. And I recently heard this quote, not from Marianne Williamson, but I heard it from one of my favorite Formula One drivers, Lewis Hamilton. He preaches his take on the quote called Powerful Beyond Measure. And I've just been following. He races for Mercedes Petronas, the Formula One team. And unfortunately, they're not racing due to the conditions that are at hand. But it really spoke to me, that type of quote, and I really wanted to just go on to a little bit of a rant today on being powerful beyond measure and what that really means. So if I look back to it and I look at the times, because the listeners have heard me when times of trying to rebuild, times of rebranding, becoming more confident, becoming more patient, lessons learned, having an alter ego, and also overcoming depression. You've been through it. And really that message, that powerful beyond measure, really wraps everything up. Because there's times, obviously, that I felt that I was inadequate. But I shouldn't have felt that way. Because I know that I can do awesome stuff like this, such as make beautiful content, and also make content with my guitars and post my music. So I think really that's what powerful beyond measure is. And to me, it's you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to face that fear of whatever it is to get started. Whether it's shooting your shot, you're not inadequate. You're powerful beyond measure. So if it's shooting your shot, starting a business, being confident, maybe starting a new content channel, YouTube, podcast, anything like that, just keep in mind that you are powerful beyond measure, and everything that you do Your actions are always going to speak louder than just your words. But I truly relate to this quote, and I wanted to share with all of you today, so maybe you can adapt it into your life. So I wanted to also talk about on the podcast today why I wanted to get started in podcasts. Why did I want to do it? What was I interested in? Well, for one, I love podcasts, and I always love listening to the Views podcast by David Dobrik. Eyes Up Here by Lindsay Palos. That's another great one I love listening to. Call Her Daddy. I mean, everyone knows that one, by Barstool and by Alex. And I love listening to those podcasts. And I thought, what if I give it a shot? What if I try doing it myself and seeing if I can, reach that level? What would it look like? What would it sound like? And fortunately enough for me, it was pretty seamless transition because I used Anchor, and Anchor makes it super easy to start up a podcast. If anybody is thinking about starting a podcast, Anchor is the way to do it. Makes it super easy, and it allows you to broadcast your podcast on multiple platforms. And really, at the end of the day, in order to get views, in order to get your podcast out there, that's what you need to do. Is you need to be on multiple platforms of social media and also multiple platforms of podcasts if that's what you're interested in. But I also wanted to talk today, too, about why I bet. What does even I bet mean? You just say AP. People tell me, it's like, AP, you say, welcome back to the I Bet podcast with your host, AP. What does I bet even mean? Well, I bet you don't know what it means. That's a quote from my father. My father says that a lot. But really, when I was starting this podcast out, I wanted it to be a brand. I didn't want it to be something that was just, like Keeping Up with Alan or the AP show. I wanted something that was not solely about me. I didn't want the attention to be solely on me. I wanted it to be able to share my stories and also have parallels from my listeners, and also something that they could relate to, almost like a form of something that they can say, or they can correlate in their lives, and not like, yeah, I listened to the AP show and it does this. I wanted it to be like, I wanted it to be a brand, and I wanted it to be a message, so that whenever you're going through self-improvement, you're going to be saying, I bet. But let me tell you what I bet really means and how it came to be. This is a great momentous moment. I haven't told this story yet, and I've been waiting to tell you. So I always said growing up, "Ite," and it was always "Ite." Like "Ite" is like Alan, do you want to eat hot dogs for dinner? "Ite," or like, you want to go on a hike? "Ite." And I think that's just something that in my local area we say, or I created. I don't think I created. I definitely didn't create it. I did not create it. Don't say that I have the rights to that. But I always heard it. I always heard it being said "Ite," and I heard myself saying "Ite." And whenever I was doing something interesting, or I was doing something cool, or I needed to do, if I was to open up to a new experience, I would say, "Ite, let's go do it." And my one good buddy, so it's actually two words that I put together, and I think we really said it more than most people, but people do say, they usually say bet, but never "I bet" together. But my one good buddy, Will always said bet. He always said bet. And I thought, like, that was sick. I always liked the word bet, because it's just like, I want to go out tonight? Bet. Like, do you want to go do this? Bet. And I was just like, that's pretty cool. That sounds cool. I like the way it sounds, and I like the way that it always triggers something to like initiate to. And so I was thinking about, like, okay, what do I say all the time? Like, what words do I say with my buddies? What words do I say when I'm faced with a difficult challenge? What words do I say in my head when I'm about to shoot my shot? I always say, I bet, because I bet was always like a trigger for me. It was always a trigger to like never go back on your words. Like, be true to yourself. Be real hasta la muerte by Well. Say, like, I bet was always that spark that I needed. That little extra thing that I needed to get that little extra push, and to be able to, achieve what I've been trying to achieve. So that's how the name came about. And I myself personally, I was like, okay, so I'm trying to build a brand, right? and I need, how am I going to get listeners on multiple different platforms? Well, for me, I have a bunch of hobbies. And my hobbies are one, you might think it's boring, accounting. But let me tell you, I am the most interesting accountant in the world. Let me just say that right off the bat. Accounting, so I understand the business side of things. I understand what it takes to formulate and speak the language of a business. Nothing sexier than that. Yeah, and I needed, I love these hobbies. I'm studying for my CPA right now. So I have all this knowledge on how businesses work and how finances work. And I was just weighing in my head, well, I got all the necessary assets to do this, and I got slim to no liabilities besides those student loans. And I thought, let's give it a shot. Let's do it. But I also have this unique ability, and it's my hobby. And I can't understand, I can't put it into words how I'm so good at doing this. And I hate to brag, but I am super good at learning languages. Everyone's got that little niche in life. Everyone has that talent. Some people can play the guitar really well. Some people can sing very well. For some reason, I have this hidden talent of learning languages pretty rapidly. And I believe it started off because I always took Spanish in throughout school. Leading up, so elementary, middle school, high school, college, especially in college, I took Spanish. So I'm completely fluent in Spanish, and I can change on a dime. Ahora estoy hablando contigo completamente en español. But this is not I bet español. So I'm gonna get to that. And I took French in college too, in my senior year of college. So I have tons of years in Spanish. I would say almost 12 years worth of Spanish in school, and then 2 years worth of French. And I also did a year of Mandarin. I took Mandarin in high school, and that was during my senior year of high school. I took Mandarin, and I need that grade booster, and it was an awesome class. I learned a lot. Best decision. And if you're thinking about learning a language, Mandarin is pretty easy. Don't sleep on Mandarin. Don't sleep on it. Mandarin is a really easy language to learn. Besides the whole the writing thing, but pinyin, it's easy, so don't sleep on it. And then that really spiraled. I'm like, okay, well, I can take all these languages and start podcasts, and it'd be pretty cool. And I can say bienvenidos, bienvenidas todo el mundo, and salud tout le monde. I thought it was a great way to, spread my brand, spread my awareness, and also have a little bit of uniqueness. Because I always think that people forget about the people that don't speak English as a first language, and I think it would be super cool to relate to people in Spanish and in French. And I really like to speak genuinely. And if someone doesn't understand me on a platform such like with English, I'd love to be able to talk with that person in Spanish or French, and also all the other languages that I have, because you can see I got a Croatian flag and a Serbian flag next to each other. Puerto Rico, Boricua, shout out to all my Boricua, and also Lebanon, and then Israel, and then I got Turkey behind that. I got Dominican Republic behind that. So I am working on a bunch of different ITBET languages. We're gonna have ITBET Balkan, right? We're gonna have ITBET Balkan. I'm super pumped for that. We're gonna have ITBET Espanol. We're gonna have ITBET Arabic. Hopefully ITBET Hebrew. ITBET Turkche. We're gonna have a bunch. We're gonna have a bunch of different languages coming up, and it's all going to be having the tone related to self-improvement, but also hobbies, everyday life, interviews, cool stuff like that. Anything that I find cool at the moment, I'd love to talk about. So really, I thought, I have this wonderful opportunity to launch different podcasts, such as ITBET Espanol, ITBET Francés, and I thought, might as well take advantage of it while I can. And that was my main catalyst for that. And I'm enjoying the podcast system in life that it is, and it's going to be even more interesting now that I'm broadcasting on YouTube. This is the first video you're seeing on YouTube, so that's cool. But also going back to what else did I want to talk to that? I really wanted to talk about just thank you everyone. I know I said it twice, but it really means a lot to me that you watch my podcasts. Here's something. What's to come? What's next on the ITBET podcast? Are you going to transition? Are you going to do anything differently? Well, one is definitely going to be utilizing YouTube more. I think YouTube is a wonderful platform where you could share. TikTok, I've been thinking about messing around with TikTok, And also, also paralleling this, because the beautiful thing about a podcast is that you can parallel it to many things that you also have. It's a great form of advertising. So I post music covers, and you know you're going to be seeing a bunch of music covers now that I have a whole upgraded camera system. So you're going to be seeing that. And if you didn't already know, Alan Punic Music is my other Instagram, or you could just search me up on Alan Punic. It's ALNPEUNIC. And you can see my cool covers and music. But yeah, this is going to be a short podcast. I wanted to end today about Powerful Beyond Measure, just that final kibosh on it. And I'm a post-MBA graduate. I just finished my MBA at my university. Shout out to Niagara University. You guys are awesome. And had a wonderful time there. Learned a lot. Grew as a person. Great college to grow as a person. And I think to myself, and what would I do if I was a freshman? And I would just take that Powerful Beyond Measure terms and just experience many things, and I wouldn't get too overwhelmed in tasks. I'm kind of running off on a tangent. We'll save that for another podcast episode. So yeah, what did we learn today? Well, one, today's my birthday. Two is that everybody is powerful beyond measure, and everyone has a uniqueness about them that can change and make an impact on this world. So never forget about that. Always consider yourself powerful beyond measure and never inadequate. And yeah, also lastly, big thanks to everybody that helps with this podcast. Really wonderful, like Jack Gatto, who created my artwork and design for IteBet, which you can see on this camera. You can see it. And also, big shout out to K-Drip, my buddy James. He makes all the intro music that you hear at the start and at the end of the podcast. He does thank you everyone for helping me out and showing support and showing love. It really means a lot. So this is it, signing off. See you everyone next Sunday. You're going to see me on a video platform from this point on. Besides the most recent one I uploaded, recorded, because I recorded that prior. That one's not going to see my video. But everything after episode, it'd probably be episodes. I'm going to have to make this episode 7, ironically. Everything after episode 7 will be broadcasted on YouTube as well. So thank you all for listening. I'm going to end it with my quote. It's a quote that I say at the end of every podcast. Sometimes I forget, but I always make sure to add it in. Editing techniques is that if you write and if you speak with an open heart, everyone sees your genuine self. Thank you all for listening. See you next Sunday. And stay safe and take care.